there is a blessing with your name on it. Not a possibility, not a maybe, not something that might materialize if the right conditions align somewhere down the road. A blessing that was written, assigned, sealed, and set in motion before you ever arrived at this moment. And the reason you are here right now, the reason this word found you today among everything else competing for your attention, is that the one who assigned it has not forgotten where he placed it. He knows exactly where it is. He knows exactly where you are. And he is saying to you right now, with full authority and without hesitation, that what he prepared for you has not been given to someone else. It has not expired. It has not been lost in the delays. It is waiting. And the only thing standing between you and the moment you step into it is a choice. You need to hear that again slowly. The only variable left in this equation is your choice, not God's willingness. He has already shown you his willingness through every door that stayed open when it should have closed, through every moment you were protected, without knowing what you were protected from, through every season of pressure that somehow did not break you when it had every reason to. His willingness is not in question. The blessing is real. The assignment is real. The calling that has been pulling at you from the inside, that thing you feel when the room goes quiet and you allow yourself to think without distraction, that is not wishful thinking. That is a divine echo. That is the sound of something already written, calling out to the person it was written for. You are that person, and this is that moment. There will be people who hear a word like this and explain it away before it can take root. They will call it coincidence. They will call it emotion. They will scroll past it and move on with their day and wonder later why the feeling lingers. But you are not going to do that. Because somewhere beneath everything you are carrying, beneath the uncertainty and the weariness and the questions that have not yet been answered, there is something in you that already knows this word is not random. Something in you recognized it before the first sentence was finished. That recognition is not manufactured. It is not psychological suggestion. It is the response of a spirit that knows the voice of the one who made it. God does not shout after people who have already decided not to listen. The fact that you are still here means something. The fact that this word landed in front of you today, in this season, after everything you have been through, is not the algorithm. It is arrangement, divine, intentional, personally orchestrated arrangement. You were brought here because there is something you need to hear, and something you need to decide. And the God who sees the full picture of your life determined that today was the day for both of those things to happen. The blessing is waiting, but so is your choice. And before this word is finished, you are going to understand exactly what that means and exactly what it requires of you. If this declaration is already landing in your spirit, if something in you is responding right now with a yes that you cannot fully explain, type, "Yes, I am ready" in the comments. Let that be your first act of agreement with what God is already saying over your life. This ministry exists for people who are still in the middle of the story, still between the promise and the fulfillment, still carrying something they were told to put down but could not. If you feel led to support the work that makes these messages possible, you are welcome to do so freely and from wherever you are. There is no pressure and no expectation attached to that invitation. Only gratitude for those who feel moved to give. The choice in front of you today is bigger than it looks. And it begins right here with whether you are willing to stay open long enough to hear what has been prepared for you. God chose you before the foundations of the earth were laid. That is not poetic language designed to make you feel special for a moment and then fade. It is a theological reality with practical consequences for the life you are living right now. To be chosen is not simply to be liked or favored in a vague sense. To be chosen is to be selected for a specific assignment, equipped with specific gifts, placed in specific circumstances, and moved through specific seasons for a specific purpose. Nothing about your life is accidental. The pain was not accidental. The waiting was not accidental. The specific way you see the world, the specific depth you carry in your spirit, the specific capacity for compassion that has sometimes felt more like a burden than a gift. None of it was accidental. All of it was construction. All of it was God building something in you that cannot be built any other way. And now, at this precise point in your story, He is standing at the edge of what is next, saying to you, the blessing is ready, the door is open. The only remaining question is whether you are going to walk through it or stand at the threshold one more time, waiting for a certainty that only comes from stepping forward. Your answer to that question is the choice this word is calling you toward. And everything that follows in this next message is going to show you exactly why that choice matters more right now than it ever has before. You did not arrive at this moment by accident, and you did not arrive here easily. The life of a chosen one is not a life of smooth, uninterrupted progress from one milestone to the next. It is a life shaped by the very things that were supposed to stop it. Every rejection you absorbed, every season where the doors closed in sequence and you were left standing outside, wondering what you had done wrong, every relationship that dissolved before you understood why, every prayer that seemed to rise and return unanswered, those were not failures of the process. Those were the process. You were not being punished during those seasons. You were being built. There is an architecture to a chosen life that most people never fully understand until they are standing on the other side of it. When you are inside it, it feels like loss. It feels like delay. It feels like everyone else is moving while you are standing still. But from the perspective of the one who is building you, every single element of what you experienced was load-bearing. Remove the rejection and you remove the resilience. Remove the silence and you remove the depth. Remove the pressure and you remove the character that pressure alone can produce. The chosen ones are not people who escape difficulty. They are people who were refined by it. Think about the weight you have carried in seasons that other people simply could not see. Not because they did not care, but because the kind of weight God places on chosen people is not always visible from the outside. You have sat in rooms full of people and felt entirely alone, not because something was wrong with you, but because you were carrying something that required a depth of solitude that ordinary company cannot satisfy. You have felt the pull of a purpose you could not fully articulate, a calling that had no clear shape yet, but pressed against the inside of your chest like something trying to get out. That is not imagination. That is divine pressure. That is God forming the shape of what you are meant to carry before He places it in your hands. The chosen ones often go through what could be called a long interior season, a period where very little is visible on the outside, but everything is being restructured on the inside. During that season, the temptation is to conclude that nothing is happening, that God has moved on, that the promises were misread, or that the faith was insufficient. But the truth is that the most important work God does in a chosen life is the work that cannot be seen from the outside. The fortifying of the character, the deepening of the roots, the quiet installation of a steadiness that will make it possible to carry the weight of what is coming without being destroyed by it. You have been in that season, or you are still in it. And either way, this word is here to tell you that the season had a purpose, And the purpose is not finished, but the season itself is changing. The architecture God has been building in your life is closer to completion than it has ever been. The things He has been installing in you through every hard year, every silent stretch, every moment you had to choose obedience when everything in you wanted to walk away, those are not wasted investments. They are foundations. And you do not lay foundation unless something is going to be built on top of them. What is being built on top of yours is the blessing that has your name on it. The life that was written for you before you drew your first breath. The assignment that required every single thing you went through to produce the person who could carry it without dropping it. You were made for this. Every season confirms it. Every scar is evidence. And the God who designed the architecture of your life has not abandoned the building project midway. He is standing at the threshold of what is next, and He is ready to hand you the keys. The question is whether you believe that enough to step forward when He opens the door. There is a place in the scripture where God says, "I stand at the door and knock," from the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 20. Most people hear that verse and picture a gentle, patient image of a Savior waiting quietly outside. And there is truth in that picture. But there is another dimension to it that rarely gets named. The God who stands at the door knocking is not knocking out of desperation. He is not hoping you will answer because He has no other options. He is knocking because what is on His side of the door is so significant, so ready, so prepared for this exact moment, that He is the one extending the invitation. He already knows what is on His side. He is waiting for you to open yours. The delay you have been living in has not been God withholding. It has been God waiting for the readiness that could only come from the process you have been through. Waiting for the moment when the door would open from both sides at once. When your yes would align with His prepared yes, and what was set in motion long ago would finally arrive in real time in your life. That moment is here. The God who sees the full arc of your story is standing at the threshold of your next season, and what He is holding is everything He promised and nothing that He withheld. The chosen ones sometimes struggle most with this truth, not with the idea that God can bless, not with the belief that blessings exist, but with the personal application of it, with the step from God blesses people to God is ready to bless me, specifically now. There is a gap between the general and the personal, and that gap has a name. It is called unworthiness. And it is one of the most effective tools the enemy has ever used to keep chosen people standing at the edge of their own breakthrough. You are not unworthy. Let that land clearly. The blessing that is waiting for you was not assigned to you based on your performance. It was not contingent on your having lived a perfect season, or having believed without wavering, or having prayed without ceasing every single day. It was assigned to you by grace, rooted in a love that existed before you had done anything to earn or forfeit it. The unworthiness you feel is a feeling, not a fact. The fact is that the door is open. The fact is that the one who prepared what is on the other side of it is calling your name. The fact is that you were chosen for this, not because you are perfect, but because you are His, and He does not abandon what belongs to Him. So what does the God who waits at the door need from you right now? He needs your willingness, not your perfection, not your complete resolution of every doubt, not your arrival at a place of flawless faith before you take the step. He needs a willing heart that says yes even while the hands are still trembling. He needs the obedience that moves before the fear dissolves. He needs you to open the door. If you feel this word reaching into the part of you that has been waiting the longest, type "I choose my crown" in the comments right now. That declaration is not just an engagement response. It is a spiritual act of agreement with what God is already speaking over your life. This ministry continues because people who have been touched by this word choose to help carry it further. Your support, given freely and from the heart, is what makes it possible to prepare and release a new message every week, to keep the quality of this work consistent, and to reach the thousands of people who are still out there waiting to hear something that speaks directly to them. If you feel led to be part of that, the link is there for you. There is no pressure and no expectation, only gratitude for those who choose to give. The door is open. The God who prepared what is behind it is not impatient with you, but He is present and He is ready. And the choice that is yours to make in this season is not a small one. It is the one your entire story has been building toward. There is a cost to hesitation that rarely gets named honestly in the language of faith. Most teaching around waiting is framed in the positive. The virtue of patience, the grace of trusting the process, the beauty of surrender, and all of that is true and necessary. But there is a different kind of waiting that is not patience at all. It is paralysis wearing the clothes of wisdom. It is the long, slow habit of almost stepping forward and then pulling back, of getting close to the edge of the decision and retreating to the familiar discomfort of staying still. And that kind of waiting has a price that accumulates quietly over time, invisibly, until one day you look at the distance between where you are and where you were supposed to be, and you feel the full weight of what the hesitation cost you. You know this pattern, not as an abstract concept, but as a lived experience. You have felt the pull of a next step and then watched yourself reason it away, not through rebellion, not through outright refusal, but through the slow, sophisticated accumulation of conditions. When things are clearer, when circumstances are better, when the fear is smaller, when you feel more ready, when the timing is more obvious, when the sign is more unmistakable. And while you were waiting for all of those conditions to align, the moment was moving and the season was shifting, and the window that was open was narrowing. The chosen ones are not exempt from this pattern. In fact, they are often the most susceptible to it, precisely because they carry so much. The more you understand the weight of what you are being called toward, the more you can feel the magnitude of the risk, and the more sophisticated your hesitation becomes. It no longer looks like fear. It looks like discernment. It sounds like caution. It presents itself as wisdom. But underneath it is the same old resistance dressed in new language. God is not asking you to leap blindly. He is not asking you to move without discernment or to abandon all wisdom in the name of bold faith. But there is a line between wise preparation and indefinite delay, and many chosen people cross that line without realizing it. They have prepared long enough. They have waited long enough. They have processed, prayed, considered, and reconsidered, and still they do not move. Because the real obstacle was never the lack of preparation. It was the belief, buried just beneath the surface, that the blessing might not actually be for them, that maybe they misheard, that maybe this is the season for someone else, and they should wait a little longer just to be sure. That belief is a lie, and this word is naming it clearly and without gentleness, because gentleness has had its season with you, and it did not break the hesitation. So hear this directly. The hesitation has cost you time. It has cost you peace. It has cost you the experience of living inside the life God prepared for you, rather than perpetually approaching it from the outside. And it does not have to cost you one more thing. The invitation standing in front of you in this season is not indefinitely open. Not because God is cruel or impatient, but because seasons have structures. The door that is open in this chapter of your life is not guaranteed to be open in the same way in the next one. The grace that is present to move you forward right now is specifically calibrated for this moment. This is not fear-based urgency. This is honest spiritual reality. Seasons change, doors shift. The window of easiest movement is always now, and now is exactly where you are standing. What remains for the chosen ones who finally move past the hesitation is not just the fulfillment of the blessing. It is the restoration of everything the delay consumed. The joy that was deferred, the momentum that stalled, the version of yourself that you have only caught glimpses of when everything aligns and you feel for a moment what it is like to walk fully in the life you were built for. That version of you is not a fantasy, it is the destination, and the path to it runs directly through the choice you are being called to make right now. Stop explaining away the pull. Stop dressing the hesitation in theological language. Stop waiting for a certainty that only comes from moving. The blessing is real. The assignment is yours, and the God who wrote your name on it is ready for you to receive it. There is something the enemy knows about you that you have not yet fully accepted about yourself. He has seen the blueprint. He has observed the construction. He has watched every season God has used to build you, and he has done the calculation. And the conclusion he has reached is that you are dangerous. Not dangerous in the way the world measures danger. Not dangerous because of power or position or resources or influence in the visible realm. Dangerous because of what you carry in the spirit. Dangerous because of the specific assignment written over your life and the specific kind of impact it is designed to have in the lives of people around you. Dangerous because a fully awakened, fully aligned, fully walking in purpose version of you is a force that darkness cannot easily contain. This is why the opposition has been personal. This is why the attacks have not felt random but targeted. This is why the very things that matter most to you have been the areas of greatest resistance. The enemy does not waste precision targeting on people who are not threats. He does not spend strategic effort derailing lives that have no significant divine assignment. The specific nature of what you have faced, the way it has pressed against your identity, your relationships, your faith, your sense of purpose, the way it has aimed at the exact things that would most effectively shut you down. That precision is not coincidence. It is evidence. Think about the patterns of opposition in your life. The relationships that were designed to make you doubt your worth, arriving at precisely the moments when your sense of identity was most fragile. The setbacks that came right when momentum was building, not a moment before or after, but at the exact peak of forward movement. The voices that planted seeds of unworthiness in the soil of your most vulnerable seasons. None of that was random spiritual weather. All of it was strategic. And the strategy was built around a single goal: to keep you from arriving at this moment with your faith intact and your willingness engaged. You arrived anyway. That is the part worth sitting with. After everything that was designed to stop you, after every tool of discouragement and derailment that was deployed against the trajectory of your life, you are here, still believing, still searching, still pressing towards something even when you could not name it clearly. The enemy failed, not because the opposition was weak, but because the grace covering your life was stronger. Because the God who assigned the blessing to your name did not allow the opposition to permanently extinguish the thing inside you that kept reaching toward it. But here is where the chosen ones must be most clear-eyed and most awake. The opposition does not stop just because you survived the last season of it. In fact, as you move closer to the threshold of what God has prepared, as the blessing becomes more accessible and the moment of decision becomes more present, the resistance often intensifies. Not because the enemy is winning, but because he is desperate. A chosen one who is still in the middle of the process is manageable from his perspective. A chosen one who steps through the door and begins operating in full alignment with their purpose is not. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to reframe every form of resistance you are currently experiencing. The difficulty you are facing is not a sign that you are going the wrong direction. In many cases, it is the clearest sign you have ever been given that you are going exactly the right one. The intensity of the opposition is a map, and the thing it is pointing away from most urgently is the very thing you need to be moving toward. The enemy knows what is on the other side of your yes. He has seen what God has prepared, and he understands its weight. He knows that when you receive it and walk in it, the impact will not stop with you. It will move through you into the lives of people who are waiting. People who are in the same darkness you once sat in. People who need someone who walked through the fire and came out carrying light instead of ash. He knows that a fully activated chosen one is a turning point, not just for one life, but for many. And that is why he has worked so hard to keep you at the edge instead of over the threshold. You are not going to let him win this. Not today. Not after everything it took to get here. There is a specific moment in the story of every chosen life where the former season ends and the next one begins. Not a gradual dissolving of one into the other. A moment. A specific, identifiable point where something closes and something opens, where the weight of what was lifts and the first breath of what is next arrives. You have felt this kind of moment before, perhaps not in the largest areas of your life, but in small ones. The morning after a long illness when you woke and knew, without explanation, that the fever had broken. The day after a season of grief when you stepped outside and something in the air tasted different. The moment mid-prayer when the heaviness shifted and something quiet settled in your chest that was not there before. Those moments were not accidents of emotion. They were transitions, and you knew them when they arrived because something deeper than your intellect recognized the shift. The same kind of transition is available to you now. Not in some future chapter when the circumstances have improved enough. Not when you have resolved every open question. Not when you feel spiritual enough or ready enough or certain enough. Now, in this moment, in this season, with everything still unresolved and every question still unanswered, the threshold is right here and the step across it is available to you today. The chosen ones often wait for the feeling of readiness before they take the step. But readiness in the kingdom rarely announces itself before the movement. It arrives through the movement. You do not feel ready and then step forward. You step forward and discover that the readiness was waiting inside the obedience, not before it. The courage does not precede the step. It rises up to meet you in the middle of it. This is the consistent testimony of every person who has ever stood at a turning point in their story and moved through it anyway. They did not feel equipped. They felt afraid. They felt uncertain. They felt deeply unqualified. And they moved anyway and discovered on the other side that God had already gone before them. This is your turning point. Not a metaphor for a future moment, but an actual description of where you are right now in the arc of your story. Everything that has happened before this, every season of construction, every period of refining, every silence that shaped your roots deeper, every opposition that proved the durability of what was being built in you, all of it was preparation for a moment that was always going to arrive. And now it has arrived. And the only thing left is the choice of whether you will meet it or whether you will stand at the edge of it one more time and decide to wait for a better version of now that will never come. Think about the people on the other side of your breakthrough. The ones who are waiting for the version of you that has stepped through this door. The younger person who needs to see someone who looks like them, who came from where they came from, who carried what they carried, walking fully in the life God prepared for them. The relationship that cannot begin until you are standing in the place where it was meant to find you. The work that cannot be done until you have crossed this threshold and picked up the tools that are waiting on the other side of it. Your breakthrough is not only yours. It was designed with reach. It was built with others in mind. And every day you remain at the threshold is a day the people connected to your purpose wait longer. God does not ask you to perform this transition without support. He does not stand on the other side of the door and watch you struggle to open it from a distance. He is at the door with you. Every word in this message is an expression of His presence in this moment, reminding you that you are not doing this alone, that the one who prepared what is waiting has also prepared the courage needed to receive it, and that the step in front of you is not a step into the unknown. It is a step into a known that has been held in reserve for you from before time began. You are standing at the moment before everything changes. You have stood here before in smaller versions of this, but this is the large one. This is the one your spirit recognized before your mind could name it. This is the moment the enemy spent years trying to prevent. And you are here, still standing, still believing, still open. The door is right in front of you. Receive it. Not someday, not when you feel more prepared or more worthy or more certain that this word was really meant for you. Now, open your hands and your spirit and receive what has been waiting with your name on it. The blessing that was written before you drew breath. The assignment that every season of your life was building you toward. The fullness of a life lived in alignment with the purpose of the one who made you. Receive it now, in this moment, as an act of faith that does not require the feeling of certainty to be genuine and does not require perfect conditions to be real. You have come too far to walk away unchanged. The word that found you today, in this season, at this exact moment of your story was not accidental and it was not generic. It was specific to you. It was sent for you. It arrived because the God who sees the complete picture of your life looked at where you are standing and determined that this was the day. Not a day for vague encouragement to carry you a little further down the road. The day for the declaration that the blessing is real and it is yours, and the choice is in your hands, and the time is now. Think about everything you have been through to arrive here. Think about the seasons that should have broken you and did not. Think about the prayers you prayed in rooms where no one else was watching. Think about the faithfulness you maintained even when the evidence was thin and the silence was long and the doubt was pressing in from every direction. Think about the version of yourself that kept getting up, kept believing, kept holding on to something you could not always see clearly, but could not bring yourself to let go of entirely. That version of you, the one that refused to stop, the one that pressed through every season of opposition and delay and interior darkness, that version of you made it to this moment. Honor that by receiving what this moment is offering you, the choice is yours. It has always been yours. God will not force the blessing into the hands of someone who is not ready to hold it. He will not override your freedom in order to fulfill His plan. He extends the invitation, and He waits. And what He is waiting for right now is your yes. Not a perfect yes, not a fearless yes, just a willing yes. A yes that says, I do not have all the answers, but I believe the one who does, and I am choosing to move forward into what He has prepared. That yes, spoken from an imperfect but willing heart, is enough. It has always been enough. Commentant chosen in the comments right now, if you know this word found you today. That single word is your declaration of agreement with everything God is speaking over your life in this season. Let it be the sound of a door opening. If today's message has moved you, and you would like to support the ministry behind it, you are welcome to do so freely and without any obligation. This work is built for people who are still in the middle of their story, still between promise and the fulfillment, and every contribution helps ensure that this message keeps reaching the people who need it most. Your generosity, however it comes, is deeply appreciated. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do that now. Stay connected to the flow of what God is releasing through this ministry. There is more coming, more words prepared for more moments just like this one, and you do not want to miss what is already on the way. The blessing is not a fantasy. The assignment is not a dream. The life that was written for you is not reserved for someone more qualified or more spiritual or more deserving. It is yours. It has always been yours. And the God who prepared it is standing at the threshold of your next chapter, holding everything He promised, waiting with patience and love and absolute certainty for the moment you open the door and walk through. That moment is now. You are chosen. You are ready. You are standing exactly where you were always meant to stand. Step forward and receive everything that has been waiting with your name on it. You came to this word today carrying something. Maybe you knew what it was, and maybe you did not. Maybe you could not have named it clearly before you pressed play, but you felt it. The weight of a season that has gone on longer than you expected. The tension of a choice that has been sitting in front of you without resolution. The quiet ache of a promise you have been holding that has not yet become a reality in your hands. You came carrying all of that, and this word met you in the middle of it. What you heard today is not the kind of message that asks you to pretend the difficulty is not real. The chosen life is not a pain-free life. It is a purposeful one. And the difference between those two things is the difference between a life spent running from hardship and a life spent being formed by it into something that hardship alone can build. You are not the person you were at the beginning of your hardest season. You are deeper, you are steadier, you are more capable of carrying the weight of what is coming because of what you carried in what is behind you. That is not accidental. That is the architecture of a life that was designed for significance. The choice that this word called you toward is still in front of you. It did not expire when the narration ended. It will be there when you close your eyes tonight, and when you open them tomorrow morning, and when you sit with yourself in the quiet places where you are most honest about what you want your life to become. And in all of those moments, this word will have already done its work. It planted something. Whether it grows depends on what you do with it. Water it with obedience. Tend it with faithfulness. Protect it from the voice that will come and tell you it was only a moment of emotion that meant nothing. It was not nothing. You felt what you felt because something real was being spoken into something real inside you. Trust that the blessing is waiting, the choice is yours, and the God who prepared both of them is not finished with you. He is just beginning the chapter you have been waiting your whole life to live. Go step into it.